Welcome to the History in Focus channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this one. Sergeant Dennis Copping next to his Kitty Hawk P-40 plane before departing for his mission, unaware that he would never return. Copping was in North Africa, where he fought intensely against Italian and German air forces. During one mission, he encountered a sandstorm that affected visibility and navigation. Disoriented, he flew over the Egyptian desert, ran out of fuel, and crashed. Initially, it was believed that the P-40 had been shot down by the Luftwaffe near the Libya-Egypt border. However, subsequent investigations revealed that the true cause of the crash was the sandstorm. The wreckage of the Kitty Hawk was found in 2012, bringing closure to Copping's story and showing the extreme challenges faced by pilots during the war. Soldiers carrying an inflatable tank, one of the tactics of the Allies' Ghost Army. This secret group, created in 1944, aimed to deceive the German forces about the size and location of the Allied troops. To achieve this, they used inflatable tanks, fake vehicles, artillery, and even inflatable airplanes to create the illusion of a large military force where there was none. The Ghost Army also employed psychological warfare techniques such as fake radio transmissions and sounds emitted by amplifiers like the one in the photo. They used pre-recorded audio to give the impression that a large army was gathering in the area, diverting German attention and resources to the wrong locations. Nicknamed Marge, the aircraft belonged to the famous Ace of Aces, Richard Bong, one of the greatest fighter pilots of World War II, who is seen in this photo next to Marge. In 1944, during a mission over Papua New Guinea, Marge crashed due to combat damage or a mechanical failure. Richard Bong, known for his skill and bravery, survived over 40 battles before the crash of his aircraft. The wreckage of Marge was found in 2018 by a team of researchers and treasure hunters exploring the area around Papua New Guinea. The discovery provided new information about the aerial operations of the time and brought closure to the story of Richard Bong and his achievements. In 2006, the eagle from the stern of the German battleship Admiral Graf Spee was found. The ship was sunk on December 17, 1939, during the Battle of the River Plate near the coast of Montevideo, Uruguay. After being damaged in combat against British cruisers, Captain Hans Langsdorff, believing that a much larger British fleet was approaching, decided to scuttle the ship to avoid its capture. The Graf Spee was then destroyed by its own crew, and its wreckage remained submerged in the area for more than 6 decades. The Enigma machine, seen on the left, was the encryption device used by the German armed forces to protect their secret communications during the war. Each time a key was pressed, the Enigma generated a different cipher for each letter, creating trillions of possible combinations. This complexity made the messages nearly impossible to decipher without knowing the correct settings used in encryption. However, the Enigma code was finally broken by a team of Allied mathematicians and cryptographers, led by Alan Turing in England. The Dornier Do 17, known as the Flying Pencil for its thin and elongated design, was one of the most used medium bombers by the Luftwaffe. Designed to be fast and easy to maneuver, the Do-17 played an important role in the Battle of Britain in 1940, conducting several bombing missions over the United Kingdom. In 2013, one of these bombers was found by a team of marine archaeologists in the English Channel, submerged at a depth of about 50 feet. It is believed to be the only example of the Dornier Do-17 in the world. Igor Sikorsky, a Russian-born engineer and inventor, created the first successful helicopter in the United States in 1939, the Sikorsky VS-300. This model laid the foundation for modern helicopter design. During World War II, Sikorsky's innovations were quickly noticed by the U.S. Army, which saw the potential of helicopters in combat. Although development and use were still in the early stages during the conflict, the following models became the first mass-produced helicopters used in military operations. In the photo, we see a Panzer 7-8 Maus at the Kubinka Tank Museum in Russia. The Maus was the heaviest tank ever built by Nazi Germany, weighing around 188 metric tons, 207 U.S. tons. Although it had the potential to be a mobile fortress, the Panzer VII-8 Maus was never used in combat due to problems caused by its extreme size and weight. The tank had a maximum speed of only 12 miles per hour and consumed a huge amount of fuel. The two prototypes built were captured by Soviet forces in 1945. The discovery and development of the atomic weapon, known as the Manhattan Project, culminated in the Trinity test, conducted on July 15, 1945. On the eve of the test, the prototype of the atomic bomb, called the Gadget, was photographed in the Alamogordo Desert, New Mexico. The success of the Trinity test was a historic milestone, confirming that the nuclear weapon worked and revealing its enormous destructive power. In 2012, a homeowner in Surrey, England, made a surprising discovery while cleaning a long-abandoned chimney: the remains of a World War II carrier pigeon. What appeared to be just a twig was in fact the skeletal leg of a pigeon, still holding a small red capsule. Inside the capsule was a handwritten coded message. Despite efforts to decipher it, the content of the message remains a mystery. A Soviet military motorcycle model L-300 was recently discovered in the forest near Vyborg, Leningrad Oblast, Russia. This motorcycle, designed for transport and logistical support, was widely used by Soviet forces during the conflict. The motorcycle was buried and was found during an expedition dedicated to recovering World War II relics. Researchers believe the vehicle was hidden or abandoned in the forest after the war, possibly as part of an effort to protect equipment from being captured or looted. The world's first jet aircraft, the Heinkel He-178, was developed by Germany and made its first successful flight on August 27, 1939. The He-178 reached a speed of over 400 miles per hour, much higher than the piston engine aircraft of the time. Despite its innovative potential, the German Air Force initially showed little interest in the new technology. In June 2015, an investigation in Heikendorf, Germany, revealed a surprising find of World War II relics. A prosecutor from Kiel, suspecting the existence of historical war items in the village, authorized a police raid to confirm the suspicion. The raiding team and prosecutors were surprised to find a fully intact Panther tank in the basement of a house. In addition to the tank, several other weapons and equipment from the Nazi era were discovered, all stored in excellent condition. In 2017, a massive World War II bomb was found buried at a construction site in a London suburb. The bomb had been hidden for over 70 years and was discovered during excavation work for a building. Being very old and still dangerous, the bomb posed a significant risk. Immediately after the discovery, specialized teams from the British Army were called to defuse the bomb and safely remove it. The human torpedo, called Chariot, was a submarine attack device controlled by a pilot, developed by the British. This innovative equipment was designed to allow trained divers to stealthily approach enemy ships and place explosive charges directly on the hulls of the targets. The pilots operated the device manually, navigating underwater to the desired location. Once positioned, they attached the explosives and set a timer for detonation, leaving the area before the explosion. Anne Frank's diary, titled The Diary of a Young Girl, was discovered in 1947 in the secret hiding place in Amsterdam where Anne and her family hid during the Holocaust. In the photo, we see Anne's passport on top of her diary, showing a glimpse of her life before the Nazi persecution. The diary recounts the years she and her family were in hiding to escape the Nazis. Miep Gies, a friend of the Frank family, found the diary and kept it until she handed it over to Otto Frank, Anne's father, after the war. The USS Samuel B. Roberts, nicknamed Sammy B., became famous for its bravery in the Battle of Samar in October 1944. This ship faced a much larger and more powerful Japanese fleet, both in size and armament. Even after being hit by several enemy shells, the Samuel B. Roberts managed to inflict significant damage on the Japanese ships before it was sunk. On that day, of the 224 crew members on board, 89 lost their lives. More than 70 years later, The wreck of the Sammy B was found at an impressive depth of over 22,600 feet in the Philippine Sea, becoming the deepest shipwreck ever discovered. For comparison, the Titanic is about 13,000 feet below the surface of the Atlantic. After the end of World War II, several undelivered V-2 rockets were captured by the Americans and became a key part of the development of the U.S. space program. In the photo, we see one of the launches of these captured V-2 rockets, which were used by the United States to test and improve their own rocket technologies. Recently, the remains of a V-2 rocket fired by the Nazis in 1945 were found in a field in southeast England. The rocket failed to reach its target and exploded before reaching London, causing a large explosion at the impact site. During the excavation, the team recovered about 1,764 pounds of metallic remains from the rocket. Robert Watson Watt, known as the father of radar, is shown next to the first British radar device that he helped develop in the 1930s. This radar system was essential for the United Kingdom's air defense during the Battle of Britain in 1940. Radar, which stands for Radio Detection and Ranging, allowed the British to detect enemy aircraft at a great distance, giving the air forces time to prepare and respond to attacks. The B-24 Liberator, named Heaven Can Wait, departed on March 16, 1944, to bomb a Japanese base in Hansa Bay, New Guinea. During the flight, the American plane and its 11 crew members disappeared, never returning to base. At the time, many searches were conducted, but the bomber's whereabouts remained a mystery for over 70 years. Finally, in 2018, Heaven Can Wait was found by Project Recover, a team searching for missing World War II aircraft. The wreckage was located at a depth of about 197 feet in Hansa Bay, still partially preserved on the seabed. The plane was identified by unique details of its fuselage and combat unit markings, revealing a story that seemed lost forever. A Soviet T-34 tank being removed from the Don River in Russia, where it had been submerged since the end of World War II. The T-34 was one of the tanks that helped the Red Army resist and defeat German forces. The tank was found by local divers and historians who, after months of work, managed to pull it out of the muddy river waters. Surprisingly, the tank was in relatively good condition. Inside, researchers found ammunition, equipment, and even some personal belongings of the crew members. In 1945, photographer William van der Wert gained access to Adolf Hitler's underground bunker in Berlin. The bunker, called the Führer Bunker, was Hitler's headquarters during the final days of World War II. In this photo, war correspondents are examining a sofa in the bunker, which was stained with blood, associated with the final moments of Adolf Hitler and his wife, Eva Braun. Empty gasoline cans used by the SS troops after the death of Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun were found outside the Führer bunker. After the event, the Nazi troops were ordered to incinerate the bodies to prevent them from being captured by Allied forces. The gasoline was used to accelerate the cremation and ensure no traces were left. A pigeon equipped with a small camera designed to capture aerial images of enemy positions. This technique, developed by the British, used homing pigeons known for their ability to return home even after covering long distances. To carry reconnaissance cameras, the pigeons were trained to fly over specific areas. When they reached their destination, the camera would automatically capture photos of enemy positions or areas of strategic interest, providing information for military operations. The German battleship Bismarck, departing from Gotenhafen, Poland, on its first and only combat voyage in May 1941. The Bismarck was the largest and most powerful warship of the German Navy, Kriegsmarine. But on its maiden voyage, the ship was surrounded and attacked by British ships and aircraft. After a violent confrontation, the battleship was sunk in the North Atlantic. The Bismarck was rediscovered in 1989 by an expedition led by oceanographer Robert Ballard. On the ocean floor, the Bismarck still displays the Nazi swastika painted on its deck. In 2021, severe floods caused extensive damage to a woman's house in Hagen, Germany. While cleaning and repairing, a family member found a secret hiding place in the wall after removing a broken plasterboard. The hiding place was filled with historical items. Among the objects found were old documents, a revolver, gas masks, brass knuckles, letters, and Nazi Party badges. A portrait of Adolf Hitler and a newspaper dated 1945 were also discovered. In the photo, an English paratrooper appears with his folding bicycle, a practical innovation that could be carried on his back. These bicycles, known as parabikes, were specially designed for British airborne troops, allowing paratroopers to move quickly after landing. Upon landing, the paratrooper could quickly unfold the bicycle and use it to reach strategic positions, conduct reconnaissance missions, or move swiftly through enemy terrain. A Jeep produced by the American Bantam car company during military tests by the United States Army on May 5, 1941. The Bantam Jeep was the first prototype of a light 4x4 vehicle, created to meet the requirements of the American Army, such as the capacity to carry 3 soldiers and equipment, high mobility in difficult terrain, and ease of maintenance. The vehicle became an icon of automotive design, influencing civilian and military vehicles to this day. In the photo, we see a German Panzer IV tank in a tank cemetery in Israel, where armored vehicles were left behind after the Six-Day War in 1967. This conflict between Israel and its Arab neighbors saw many tank battles, and many of these vehicles remain on site, rusted and exposed to the elements. Although not directly from World War II, the tanks in the cemetery in Israel include models used at that time, such as the Sherman M4, made by the United States to help the Allies. These tanks were reused by various forces after the war because they were strong and reliable. The B-17G Flying Fortress, a heavily armed bomber of the American Air Force, was on a mission over Europe when it was hit by anti-aircraft guns. The pilot, Second Lieutenant Ernest Viennot, 25 years old, faced a critical situation with significant damage to the aircraft. Showing great skill and courage, Viennot made a forced landing at sea, allowing his crew to escape in lifeboats. Unfortunately, the pilot could not leave the plane before it sank beneath the waves. Decades passed without the exact location of the wreck being discovered. But in 2001, local divers, while exploring the seabed, found the wreckage at a considerable depth off the island of Vis, Croatia. This discovery brought new details about the tragic end of the B-17, providing closure to the story of Ernest Viennot's sacrifice and courage. During the Nazi occupation, many vehicles were hidden to prevent them from being confiscated by military authorities, creating a real cemetery of rusty cars in France. These automobiles, kept by their owners at the beginning of the conflict, were found in an isolated pit, where they remained untouched for decades. The discovery was made by Vincent Michael, a physical education teacher from Belgium, while exploring the region. Inside the pit, there was a collection of old cars from various brands, covered in rust, but still retaining their original structure, representing a piece of history that had been forgotten. In the photo, we see soldiers driving a DUKW amphibious vehicle somewhere in Normandy. Developed by the United States, the DUKW, known as the Duck, combined the characteristics of a truck and a boat, allowing for the transport of troops and supplies across beaches and waterways. These vehicles played a crucial role in several Allied military operations, including the D-Day landings in Normandy on June 6, 1944. The Tallboy, the largest unexploded bomb ever found in Poland, is one of the most impressive wartime engineering inventions of its time. Weighing about 5 tons, it had an innovative design with a tough casing to penetrate before exploding, maximizing its impact. The bomb was dropped in an attack on a strategic Nazi naval target. However, the bomb did not detonate and was found in September 2019 under a waterway leading to the port of Szczecin. During the defusal process, Polish Navy divers attempted to remove the submerged bomb, but it exploded underwater. Fortunately, the explosion was controlled and caused no injuries. A World War II underground bunker used by Winston Churchill's secret army was recently discovered in Scotland, hidden in a forest. The discovery was made accidentally during an expedition to reclaim land in the forest. The team of explorers conducting a survey in the area for a conservation project noticed some irregularities in the ground that led to a more detailed investigation. The bunker, which is about 23 feet long and 10 feet wide, was buried at a considerable depth below the surface. It was well protected by the surrounding vegetation and camouflaged to avoid detection. In 2012, a British-led team recovered a treasure of silver coins valued at $44 million from a steamship sunk by the Germans at a record depth of 17,000 feet. The ship, known as the SS Gersapa, was attacked by the Germans and sank in the North Atlantic in February 1941 while carrying a valuable cargo of silver to support the British war effort. In 2022, a Nazi panzer tank was retrieved from a river in Poland, where it had been submerged for about 80 years. The Panzer IV was one of Nazi Germany's main battle tanks and was widely used during the war. The tank was found by divers and historians exploring the riverbed. The recovery of the tank was a careful process that used specialized equipment to ensure the vehicle was removed from the river without causing further damage. In the 1945 photo, we see Type 21 U-boats docked in Bergen, Norway. The Type Dunsin was an advanced class of submarines developed by Nazi Germany. After the war, many officials and sympathizers of the Nazi regime tried to flee Europe, and these submarines were used to transport them, along with resources, to South America. In 2018, the wreck of a Type 22 submarine was found off the coast of Norway by a team of underwater explorers. The submarine was well preserved, offering a detailed view of its features and the condition in which these vessels were left after the war. In 2022, 2 milk cans found in Poland revealed a collection of World War II artifacts. A group of restorers and historians who were investigating a property in search of relics discovered the cans. They contained a variety of personal and historical items from the war era. Among the items found were the last will and testament of a Polish count, a copy of his coat of arms, documents and diaries, as well as money, jewelry, glasses, and military medals. The documents and diaries provided a personal insight into the Count's experiences and thoughts during the tumultuous years of the war. In 1998, during the construction of a Holocaust memorial in Berlin, workers accidentally discovered Joseph Goebbels' bunker, Minister of Propaganda for Adolf Hitler. Goebbels, known for his role in spreading Nazi ideology and the genocide of Jews, used this bunker as a refuge during his final days. The bunker withstood the intense bombings that devastated the city at the end of the war, remaining sealed and forgotten for over 50 years. In July 1945, the heavy cruiser USS Indianapolis departed from California on a secret mission to deliver crucial components for the atomic bomb Little Boy, which would be dropped on Hiroshima. After completing the mission in Tinian, the ship was ordered to head for the Philippines, but along the way, it was hit by 2 torpedoes and sank in 12 minutes in the Philippine Sea. About 300 crew members died in the attack, while 900 were left adrift, facing sharks, dehydration, and exposure to the sun. Only 316 were rescued, making it the greatest loss of life in a single incident in U.S. Navy history. Decades later, in 2017, the wreck of the USS Indianapolis was found at a depth of 18,000 feet on the bottom of the Philippine Sea. In the photo of the wreck, an anti-aircraft gun of caliber 5/25 can still be seen attached to the ship's hull. The discovery was made by an expedition led by Paul Allen, co-founder of Microsoft, and his team of explorers. In the spring of 1945, Allied forces found a large cache of hidden treasures in the Merkers salt mine in Germany. There, they discovered over 110 tons of gold, including bars and bags filled with coins, along with large quantities of money, artwork, jewelry, and other valuable items. The mine had been used by the Nazis to hide a significant portion of the Reichsbank's gold reserves, along with other wealth stolen from occupied countries and victims of the Holocaust. The Colossus II, developed in 1943 at Bletchley Park, England, was one of the world's first electronic computers. It was created to decipher the codes of the Lorenz machine used by German forces for high-level communications. The existence of the Colossus remained a secret until the 1970s, and its importance was only fully recognized years later. The work performed by this computer helped lay the foundations for the development of the computers we know today. A V-1 flying bomb on display at the Muckleburgh Collection in North Norfolk, United Kingdom. Known as the Doodlebug or Buzz Bomb, the V-1 used a pulsed jet engine, and when the fuel ran out, it would fall uncontrollably and explode upon hitting the ground, causing extensive damage. The V-1S were frequently used against London and other British cities, resulting in many civilian casualties and significant infrastructure damage. In the photo, we see the Graf Zeppelin, the only aircraft carrier of Nazi Germany, still under construction. The idea was for this ship to reinforce the Kriegsmarine during the war, but the Graf Zeppelin was never completed. Launched in 1938, it faced a series of problems and delays that prevented its completion before the end of the conflict. When Germany surrendered, the aircraft carrier was captured by Soviet forces, and years later, while being towed for artillery tests, disappeared in the waters of the Baltic Sea, becoming a mystery. But the story did not end there. In July 2006, a Polish oil exploration company found the Graf Zeppelin at a depth of about 285 feet north of the port of Władysławowo, Poland. The discovery finally ended decades of speculation and mystery about this unique piece of German naval history. The Japanese I-400 class of submarines, known as submersible aircraft carriers, was designed to launch aircraft directly from the sea. These submarines, which were the largest in the world at the time, measured about 400 feet in length and could carry up to 3 Aichi M6A Siren seaplanes in a watertight hangar. The interior of the hangar had rails to facilitate the movement of aircraft along the limited space. The planes were stored with their wings and floats folded to save space and were quickly assembled and launched via a catapult located on the submarine's deck. The Imperial Japanese Navy ship Musashi was one of the largest and most powerful battleships ever built. On October 24, 1944, during the Battle of Leyte Gulf, the Musashi was heavily attacked by American aircraft. The battleship was bombarded and torpedoed repeatedly, and after continuous attacks, it sank the following day. More than 1,000 crew members died, and the sinking was one of the greatest defeats of the Imperial Japanese Navy. In March 2015, the Musashi was found at a depth of more than 3,280 feet in the Sibuyan Sea off the coast of the Philippines. The discovery was made by a team of researchers using a research submarine funded by billionaire Paul Allen. In the photo, parts of the ship can be seen, including the bow of the Musashi.